and the program has remained and been sustained since that time. So we are glad to have another one today, this day, the 9th date of February 2024. I want to welcome every one of us from wherever we may be or we are located. Every one of us, everyone is welcome in a special way. The lecture series has been an eye-opening one, cutting various areas of endeavor. We have talked on energy, entrepreneurship, supply chain, and many other ones, which at one time or the other it has been beneficial. And we have series of different personality who have been gracing the occasion. Today will definitely not be an exception. And in fact, we have some unique people who are coming on board as part of the program today. I want to welcome us once again, and we are sure that we are going to have a very good time together. The lecture series also has cut across various generations of industrial and project engineering graduates. The first one was delivered by Engineer B, who graduated in 2002-2003 session. We had somebody who graduated in the second one was the person graduated in 1991-92 session, in person of Engineer Adegboroye. Then we had another one, the following person, Engineer Ajibola, who graduated in 1993, and many others. So this time around, we have somebody, well, you cannot say it's too young or too old, maybe in between, the graduate of 2011. And we have also had somebody who graduated about 3 or 4 years ago. So that cuts across all generations. And this has gladdened our heart because our alumni are doing excellently well in their various field of endeavor. So we trust and believe that tonight we are going to have another wonderful time. And we have different guests today as well. Different people, we can say we have caught a lot of big fishes in today's program. So I want to welcome all of us. I want to encourage us to stay on board as we believe that we are going to have a very great time in our midst today. To the chairman of today, I can see her already. She's very much around, and is a great personality who I'm sure her schedule is to be very tight one in terms of busy doing one thing or the other. But she has decided to spare that as part of her schedule time to be here today. I want to welcome you, Ma, and as many other people. We're also expecting, as a special guest of honor, a foremost Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Professor Ayodele Falashe, who was Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan between 2000 and 2005. Also, we have our special guest, the Director of Distance Learning, University of Ibadan, Professor Omobowale, who's of the Department of English, and many others. So not to waste much of our time, straight away I want to call the point of the presiding over today's meeting, the chairperson, who is the Chief Executive of Cadbury Nigeria PLC. And well, he's also attached to us in one way or the other. One of our early graduates of the department. She is the wife of Engineer Adeboye, who also shared this program one time ago, sometimes ago. So I want to welcome our chairperson for today, Mrs. Adeyimika Adeboye, CEO, Cadbury Nigeria PLC. I want to welcome you, ma, for your address.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you very much. I think first of all, point of correction is Oyeyimika. My father has been always very particular about names, and Ade and Oye mean two different things. Ma. It's Oyeyimika, but on the flyer it's correct. It's correct. So no, it's okay. I just want to make that. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I also want to respectfully say good evening to Professor Falashe, who happens to also sit on the board of our family foundation, the Timothy Adeola Family Foundation. So I don't see him picture here, and haven't seen him in a few months. But sir, thank you for being here with us, and welcome everybody. I think for me, I have probably the easiest job to say a few words and then wait for the big wigs and the brain boxes to talk. And I will talk from the point of view of the topic for today, which is around the art of problem solving. And as a business leader, one of the biggest things that we do is to help or aid problem solving. And we do recruit consultants almost all of the time. I jokingly say that consultants are people who you tell your problem to, you generally know how to fix it. You need them to certify, ratify, confirm, handhold you through what you think you know. So consultants do a fantastic job at sometimes, probably not all the time, but sometimes helping you to navigate what you probably know but are not quite sure would work. Problem solving is really and truly, particularly in the business environment, is very apt a topic for today. We all know what's going on in Nigeria. I think for me, I always say that the good news is that it's not exclusive to Nigeria. If I look across the African continent, at least I can mention on my 10 fingers, 10 countries on this continent that are going through a very difficult time, whether it's called inflation, devaluation, security issues, or insecurity issues. We're almost going through the same thing across the continent. And we do need to be able to solve problems and continue to live our lives and survive in this environment. So the topic for today is really apt. And we have the privilege of having the brain boxes to do this. I am also looking forward to taking some notes here because this will be probably the cheapest consulting I'll get, in a long time. So let me just make the most of it. Most of the time, they come with a massive fee and a proposal that you just wonder, how am I going to pay for this? But in all honesty, this is very useful, and I encourage those who are watching and who are listening to take this to heart. Not only because it's good for consulting, but it will also be good for this generation. I know you have a lot of side attractions. I can't remember what you call it, but that's side. There's a word for it. I'm sure there's a word for it. You have a lot of that, and this is free service for you. So please take that and enjoy it. Thank you very much. For this session. I look forward to this session, and the Q&A session would also be very interesting for me. Thank you. So do I hand over to Mr.
Thank you, ma. Let me continue from where I did, ma. To just permit me to do the moderation, ma. I want to take permission from you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, ma. For that brief and impactful remarks. I want to call on our special guest of honor, Emeritus Professor Ayodele Falashe. I've not seen him. Hope is on ground. It appears he's not yet here. Anyway, we may need to continue. I'm sure when he comes on board, he will take his remarks. We also want to hear a special goodwill message from Professor Ibi Omobowale. Professor Ibi Omobowale is Professor of English, the Department of English. He also doubled as the Director of Distant Learning, University of Ibadan. Prof, sir, want to hear from you, sir. Professor Adebowale, Omobowale, sorry. I hope there's no network issue where he is.
Not in the meeting yet.
No, I don't see him in the meeting.
All right. We move forward. Maybe whenever he joins, he's able to join, then we'll give him his remarks. He will make his remarks. I want to call, we won't waste time as we have said. We'll go straight to the point. I want to invite Onyinye, one of our graduates, former graduates too, to read the citation of our guest speaker for tonight. Onye, please, can you come on board?
Thank you so much, sir. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to our special guest of honor. Good evening to our guest of honor. Good evening to everyone present. I'll just wait for the screen to be shared before I start. Thank you so much. Here we go. So, engineer, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, you are very much audible, loud and clear.
Thank you so much, sir. Engineer Adebayo Tokiti is an astute professional with background in productivity, improvement, supply chain, project, and asset management. He holds a bachelor's degree in industrial and production engineering from the University of Ibadan and a master's of business administration degree from Imperial College, London, with about 11 years of professional experience across the pharmaceutical, FMCG, oil and gas industry. Before joining NLNG, Engineer Adebayo worked in the demand and supply planning team at Nestle PLC as the production planning and detailed scheduling manager. He strategically led all tactical product supply planning initiatives with an 18-month horizon anticipating production capacity, constraints, and supporting businesses, asset management and negotiation with partners, resulting in a 2.4 real internal growth and a 40% increase in organic growth delivery amidst Forex instability in Nigeria within the 2016 financial year. In NLNG, he manages a portfolio of critical rotating equipment, assets worth over $1 billion in asset value, strategically providing support to maintenance, operations, and asset management team. Engineer Adebayo is a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, registered engineer with the Council for Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria. He's a certified maintenance and reliable professional, project management professional, and a member of the Institute of Engineering and Technology in the United Kingdom. Engineer Adebayo founded Fleet Tribe, a startup focused on providing just-in-time breakdown support to heavy-duty vehicles nationwide. Engineer Adebayo is happily married to his beautiful wife, Toby, and they are blessed with 2 children and very known for his commitment to God as well as his beautiful family. Please join me in welcoming our speaker of today, Engineer Adebayo Otokiti. Thank you.
Okay, please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, you are clear, loud and clear.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here at the 17th edition of the Industrial and Production Engineering Alumni Series. I think I will stand on the existing protocol to appreciate the presence of the MDC of Cadbury and other special guests of honor on the call. I would also like to appreciate all my lecturers on the call. So when they say I'm in between young and old, and I see Dr. Kola Ole, Professor Olado still very agile, then I choose the young. So I'm young. So don't put me in between. I'm still very young. Okay, so thank you very much, Oye, my classmate who also read the citation. I like to keep it very short. I think that's very important for me, particularly when you have big madams and men and women on the call. Okay, so I'll just go straight to tonight's presentation, and I'll probably share a brief of the background on what led to this. So we are talking about the art of problem solving and applicable principles for a successful career. So over my career across pharmaceutical, fast-moving consumer goods with Nestle, and now in oil and gas, I've seen problem solving as a critical part of the sustainability of every business, or even to showcase talent and individuals that will probably head the business or grow the business in the future. But more to that is to look at why are people paying so much for problem solvers, right? The entire global business management consulting market is valued at about 198 billion in 2022, and looking at 2028, this will be valued at about 285 billion. Why are people paying so much for people to solve problems? And I'd like to submit to say strategic problem solving is a critical business skill at all levels of every organization. So whether you are even within an organization, or you are within an industry, or you are typically just an entrepreneur, or you are in the academics, problem solving is a key tool that you need to know. Right. And I would go across my presentation today trying to demystify some knowledge or some beliefs we have about problem solving. It's not about being the subject matter expert in every field. It's not about being the subject matter expert just in your field. It's about understanding the problem and being able to solve it. Right. So I would say problem solving is big business, and we are here to know that tonight. Okay. The application is across, whether you're in IT, you're in product development, you're in sales, manufacturing, oil and gas. It's diverse. Karl Popper quote says, all life is problem solving. Whether even in your personal life, you are solving a problem on a daily basis, but you need to clearly understand, what does it mean to solve a problem? What does it mean to achieve a goal? What does it mean to take yourself in your thought process from point A to point B? And I hope that within the 45 minutes to 50 minutes session I have tonight, that we're able to dissect that and get value for everyone. And I hope that you would also join me as we go through this. Before going in through this session, so I'll probably apply it across different areas, and I would leave room for questions in between, just to be sure that I don't lose people along the way. Okay. So I'll start by, what does it mean to solve? There is day-to-day life of trying to fix a problem. This thing is bad, I get it fixed. But really, understanding what made it bad, understanding what has changed or what needs to be changed, is the depth that you bring into problem solving, right? I share a good example of, oh, there's a debt there, or there's something making this thing not work, and you just go there and fix it. But there's a level of thought that allows you to go through a process to say, why is it there? What's the potential solution? What are my options? But this is typically looking at a setting in a manufacturing setting or in an organization. But problem solving is bigger than that. Problem solving can be applied across industries. Problem solving can be applied within an organization. Problem solving can be applied globally. What are those steps that the people take? So when you hire a consultant, for instance, what makes the consultant different? How is he able to provide value for you? It's in a set of principles, and understanding those principles and being able to apply them in your own personal life would make a difference. Okay. Before I go into the depth of it, I would also like to share, right, that whether in academics today, so if we say the market is valued at so billion dollars, it means that even within the UI community, our lecturers could be consultants, right? What do they need? We would probably go also into the depth of that. What does it mean to consult? What does it mean to solve a problem? What does it mean to provide that value as a service, right? And how that can create value for our department, right? Okay. So how do I go about it tonight? I would go about it in 5 steps of problem solving. I start with defining the problem, and this will be done across with a case study, a very familiar one, and I try to make it simple and not make it quite technical for us. We'll define the problem. We'll look at structuring the problem. How do we analyze and conduct our analysis? How do we synthesize? I think this is one of the very major skill sets that people need to understand. That data doesn't mean that you're able to solve a problem. Having that big data volume or having that knowledge doesn't mean you're able to solve a problem. Synthesizing and able to turn valuable information into insights allows you to create that edge in terms of solving a problem. And how do you communicate? You have business leaders on the call, MDC of Cadbury. How do you go to her and present what you've been able to find out and provide a compelling reason for that to provide value or provide money or provide or reward you for the value you bring to the table? And I like to share this just very early in life. I think that was before even getting my first job, I had the opportunity of doing what you would call internship or youth. Okay, so we'll call it CWES with Pharmadeco PLC. And at that time, it was an issue of they were having production challenges. So it's a fault in the production line to the fault in the machine tomorrow, right? But having a broader perspective, I was able to see that it's not the machine that was the problem. It's not the engineers. It was something bigger than them. They didn't have a structured spare part management system, right? Before getting my first job, I was able to go back. I think that was just between graduating, and I think that was 3 months to NYSC. I wrote the MD to say, oh, I'm available. My house is not quite far for the company, and I can do this for free. Let me help you solve a problem. And they brought me in for those 3 months, gave me the task to solve that problem. I created a spare part management system. I divided the workshop into 2. This is a fresh graduate, not even going, has not gone for NYSC, and built a new spare part store. Walked through the documentation and the process for them to be able to ensure that they have enough spares to support their maintenance program. What did that do for me? I finished my NYSC, and I think that was just about 1 or 2 weeks. I wrote the MD again to say, oh, I'm done with my NYSC. Even though I have offers, I'm also feeling that I could consider this offer. And they asked me to come in. Oh, I'm not in this week. Come in next week, Tuesday. Next week, Tuesday, I came into the boardroom, and it was a conversation that, oh, buyer has added value to this organization. We know it. Let him resume tomorrow, right? And I need to let people understand that whether as an individual or as an organization, problem solving, your ability to look critically, have that helicopter view, and solve problem in a structured manner would differentiate you anywhere, anytime. Okay, so we'll go into our case study for today. Okay, just before going into that, I like to also clear some myths around problem solving, right? We need to also be able to manage that we don't jump into conclusions. We don't allow things we know, our background, our discipline to stand in between us and solving a problem. We need to listen to the facts and be sure that we're engaging the stakeholders to arrive at the right solution. Use these facts and evidences and avoid cognitive bias. Oh, a simple problem is the machine is breaking down so often, or this company is not delivering so much value in terms of sales. And I think that, oh, it's probably the market that is the problem. I've not thought about the soft skills as an engineer to say, oh, it could be motivation. It could be getting people to think in a particular way. So problem solving is diverse. And it's important that you understand that the process is the key. You are applying the process, you will be quite flexible in the way based on the scale of the problem, but applying the process is very key. Okay, so we'll use our case study tonight. So I'm using Sheraton Hotel as a case study. So mind you, all the data provided are just formulated data to allow us arrive to get a story for tonight. So I'll share a brief about our case study and we'll dive into solving a problem for them. So we are using Sheraton. So let's say they're a subsidiary of Marriott Hotel, and they've been having flat revenue for the last 5 years, 2018 to 2023, having an annual revenue of about $3 billion US. They have 300 hotels totally spread across their global locations, and that's about 1/3 of that is franchised. The CEO has hired us, so just imagine the MD CEO of Adwe has hired us today and to solve a problem, right? And we are here to solve that problem for the organization. We are working directly with the Chief Marketing Officer. What other information did they provide us, and what led them to probably call us to solve this problem? Competitors are growing at 3 to 5% during this same time. So it's a problem to us, not just the entire industry. One of their competitors is also expanding into Eastern Africa, particularly Kenya. Okay. So what do we do with this information? This business wants growth. We want to help Sheraton increase our revenue. That's our objective. But how do we go about it? Okay, we start going about this with defining what the problem is. It's simple to say, oh, I want to help you increase revenue. But what's the value of the revenue, right? And what's the current situation? How well do we understand the current situation? And we're able to bring it into facts and figures that are useful for our decision making. Who are the decision makers in this organization? And who are the key stakeholders? It's one thing to have an idea. It's one thing to get that idea to turn into a solution and be accepted by the key stakeholders. So we need to understand who are the key stakeholders. What's the success criteria? How do we define that? And what constraints or things are within our scope and not within our scope? With all this, we arrive at a clear, smart problem statement. And I'll do that with the case of the Sheraton Hotel. Okay, so we've arrived at the current situation. We say, oh, revenue is growing. Revenue is about $3 billion annually. They are not growing. Their revenue has been flat. Competitors are growing in the same market. And competitors are also launching new brands. But we've identified that the staff and management of the organization are key stakeholders. The potential and current customers of the company are key stakeholders. We could say, oh, increase price. And that immediately pushes some customers away, right? So we need to understand these key stakeholders. What are the regulatory agencies that are probably regulating them in some countries? Or if they are not, what are the regulatory agencies that are regulating them even in Nigeria? Who are the owners or investors? What's their appetite? What are they looking out for? Okay. With that, we're able to also understand that we are focusing on growth, revenue growth, not just looking at gross profit. Revenue growth, we want to grow the revenue of the company. I want to focus on increasing utilization of their existing assets. So when we think through the problem and the options that we can create new assets or acquire new assets, we've tried to constrain ourselves that we want to increase the utilization of existing assets. And I hope that's also something we get from this conversation, that scoping a problem allows you to work within useful boundaries. It's not a limiter, but it allows you to ensure that within the boundaries, you're able to deliver value. Okay, so the success criteria is that we said we want to achieve annual revenue growth for the company greater than about 5% by end of the 2024 financial year. With all this, we want to draft a problem statement. That what initiative should we do? And pardon me that you see Milton Wood here. So what initiative should we do for Sheraton to pursue this value and in the next within 6 to 18 months, enable them to increase revenue by $100 million per annum over the next 3 years? Okay. We've had that problem statement, but let's keep that in mind. Key elements of this problem statement that is time bound. We want them to deliver this value within 6 to 18 months. We want them to increase revenue by $100 million. We want this to be annual, so it's sustained revenue. And want to measure our performance over the next 3 years. At the end of this problem solving process, we want to be able to present value-driven initiatives to the MD CEO and the board of Sheraton to say, we're able to deliver this value for you that will take you from point A to point B. And I hope I'm not too fast. Please feel free to pause me if I'm too fast. I think I would also like to mention that if you have any questions along the way, just please type it into the chat. At every step of the process, I will stop, look at those questions, and try to address them before we move to the next step. Okay. So for defining the problem, we would go on to go next to structuring the problem. When you are structuring a problem, you are trying to look beyond the constraints, and you are trying to broaden your horizon in terms of thinking as much as possible. 2 key tools are here that you can apply. There is the issue tree, and there is the hypothesis tree. For issue tree, you are looking at diverse options, right? For hypothesis tree, you are looking at what could be true and how do I disprove it, or what assumptions am I making? How do I confirm or validate those assumptions? But the most common one for us, and which we would apply mostly this night, is the issue tree. Okay, we want to take our problem statement and look at how do we break this problem statement into actionable, verifiable elements that we can work with, or initiatives that we can work with. Note here, we say it must be mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustible. That looks like big grammar. But we are saying that in the elements of your branches and how you structure your problem, make sure that they don't cross paths, right? That you don't have things that will be duplicated across board. It allows you to have divergent opinions and views until you get to the point where you're able to have actionable items that you can work with. I think that's the end point. And you need to understand this critically, that mutual exclusivity allows you to broaden. You're asking yourself what? You're asking yourself how, right? These questions allow you to open up your mind and look at variable options for the company. And here you can also, because problem solving at times is not an individual approach, it's a team approach. Here you're also brainstorming. You can decide to work your way from the problem down to the different solution elements, or you can decide to be someone who says, oh, for a team, how do we brainstorm as a group? Everybody throwing their ideas, and we try to now see how do these ideas align to form branches that come back to relating to our problem statement. Okay, so common issue tree elements are, how do you increase market share? You can tell the business that immediately my first branch is I can expand your existing business, or I can acquire or develop new business areas. You can now further open this up to say, what areas are you expanding the existing business, right? If the business is into, for instance, the business is into, so today we say they are into hotel. So what category of hotel? Is it premium? Is it something for luxury? Can they go into new business areas? But within their different category, can they expand their branches? Can they open new locations? So here you are looking at 2 branches, but if you break it further, you will now go into, if I'm expanding the existing business, what options do I have? But I'll just run through this so that we'll go typically to the one we have for Sheraton Hotel. You can use stakeholder engagement. So you want to improve stakeholder engagement. You can branch off looking at what's the company, who are the customers, who are the competitors. You can look at growing sales. You can look at the product, the 4 P's of sales: product, price, promotion, and placement. You can look at it in diverse ways. What should the university focus on? They can focus on things within the short term. They can focus on things within the long term. You can look at things in either qualitative or quantitative actions. You can look at things in the view of internal and external. And that allows you to, these are talking about areas where you want to prioritize your effort or actions. Okay. When you say you want to increase profit, you can look at it in whether growing revenue or reducing costs. Right? Growing revenue, you can further break down into, I can increase price or increase volume, right? When I'm trying to look at cost, reducing my cost, am I focusing on the variable cost? Am I focusing on the fixed cost element? So that allows you to look at those different branches. But back to Sheraton Hotel. So we said we want to go from increasing our revenue, growing our revenue about $100 million within the next 3 years. And we want to do this within 6 to 18 months, that the company is able to realize the value. Right? And we said, what are the immediate branches for our issue tree? Mind you, we are solving this problem together. We're all thinking through this together. We want to increase the price of the product. That's number 1 branch. And we say, okay, either we increase the price of the product or we increase the volume they sell. How logical is that? I'm selling 5 products at 2 naira. That's 10 naira, right? I can decide to say, I want to sell, now increase the price to 3 naira, and I'm selling the same 5 products. That becomes 15 naira. That gives me 5% increase, and that's about 50% increase in the value of the company, right? But I can say, no, I want to keep my prices stable and grow my volume, because for my customer segment, my price is not really flexible. Or what we look at it, that we say price is so looking at price stability in the market, you don't have that unlimited ability to increase price, particularly in a very competitive market. So for Sheraton, we said they want to increase price of products. That's an option, right? If they are increasing price, what are the options there? You can increase the hotel rates, or you can increase the rates for non-room services like food. You can increase rate for food. You can increase rate for accessing your bar. You can increase rate for your drinks. You can increase rate for your let's say business meeting rooms. You can increase it for quite a number of things. So we'll group that other prices, right? But if we look at further under increasing hotel rates, we can say we'll change prices. We can say we can negotiate our corporate contracts such that we can get more value with our B2B sales. We can say that at check-in, we'll look at more upsell. And what does it mean? For customers who have come in and they've booked a room of 30,000 naira. At check-in, you want to show them options to say, even though you made that decision earlier to book a room of 30,000 naira, there's this room that gives you almost twice the size and comfort of the room of 30,000 naira, but can give you for 10,000 naira more. That's like an upsell, right? Would that deliver value for the company? Can you change brands and probably look at across different locations what brand names are selling more, right? And try to replicate that across your locations. When I talk about increasing prices, we say whether you increase your room service fee or other fees, you need to use the gym, we increase that fee. You need to use the meeting room, we increase that fee. But they are variable options, right? When we talk about increasing volume of products, we want to look at first our customer base. If we're increasing our customer base, who are direct customers today? We focus more on B2B and want to do a lot more around B2C. We want to look at direct to customer. How do we grow our customer base? We look at initiatives around that area. We want to sell more products. We are selling to existing customers, or we are selling more of existing product and services, or we are selling new product and services. So we've tried to open up our minds, but a layer above this, and I try to just keep this simple, right, is that you can go a little further to say, if for instance you are increasing your upsell, right? Do you want to do this at check-in, or do you want to do this during booking? Right? If you are changing prices, how often do you want to change the prices? If you are negotiating contracts, are there segments of the contracts that you want to negotiate? Is it contracts relating to your B2B or contracts relating to your let's say third-party sales agent? So what options? So you can break this further. But where do you stop? You stop at the point where you typically have actionable items that you can do back of the hand calculation and verification or validate with data. And that allows you to make further effort in your problem solving journey. Okay. I hope I'm not too fast, right? So I just do a little bit touch point around issue trees. An issue tree, just an example here, as we go through more of our focus will be on the issue tree, but just an example of the hypothesis tree here, right? You set up an assumption and you try to validate that assumption. What would you have to believe to say, oh, price elasticity is such that you would be able to? So let me break that down. So what we have to believe to say, if I continue to increase price, I can achieve this 100 million naira net increase in revenue, right? You need to be able to validate what's the rate around the industry, right? What margin do I have amongst my competitors? How do I price myself? Am I in the premium region? So you need some form of data or verification efforts to be able to say, okay, whatever assumption I'm making, I'm able to deliver value through that assumption. So I won't go too much into this. And I hope to share these slides after the call so that people can probably go through it and have a deeper understanding of this or even apply it to your own particular case. Okay. So we'll stick to issue trees and we'll go into conducting analysis. While in conducting analysis, we want to now look at the elements of our issue tree. We pick them one by one, right? From changing prices to negotiating corporate contracts to upselling to changing brands to increasing room service. We want to pick them one by one, and we want to ask ourselves broad questions, right? What's the biggest opportunity amongst all these various options I've tried to think about? What customers should I target, right? What geographies am I focusing on? Should the company be doing upsells at check-in or in booking? And these questions typically allows you to break down a layer further. I just try to list them here so that it allows you to look at what questions are you asking yourself. And your questions and your perspective typically helps you to get to the root cause of things that will deliver value for the company. Are there opportunities for revenue upside? Should you acquire a new chain? And this, for instance, we said we are not going into new area, but you don't throw it out in your thought process, right? Because typically it's a team effort and they are brainstorming. So you ask yourself all these questions before you try and tie them to the different options you've looked at in your issue tree, and you're trying to validate. So I narrowed down to 6 options. And how did I narrow down to these 6 options? So for instance, I pick my option A and I say change room prices. I need to look at by what margin can I change room prices. So if the premium hotel, the 5-star hotel in the industry is charging 100,000 naira per room, and I'm charging 60,000, right? So that means the maximum I'll typically be able to charge if I comparatively compare myself to that hotel, right, is 100,000 naira. So with 40,000 naira increase, just imagine, and I keep my customers fixed, right? So my customer base is fixed. Am I able to achieve the target of 100 million naira, right? $100 million over the period. I'm having this thought process. I'm not doing so much in terms of details, but I'm doing that back of the hand calculation, validating facts that allows me to prioritize my effort quite early. Because if you don't do that, you focus on a lot of things and you are not able to channel your effort into deep diving and validating data sets that allow you to make informed decisions. Okay, so I do same to capture cancellation fees. So I need to charge people more for cancellations. And how much of cancellations can I charge? I go into my data set, historical data. How many people have canceled, right? What's the value of their cancellation fee? I mean, if you look at ultra low cost airlines in the UK or within Europe, they will charge you for every little element of that. And that's really a problem-solving idea that came from someone or an organization looking beyond just the regular airline. So what does it take? If you are going from Lagos to Abuja, they serve you some pack of food on the flight. They allow you to carry as many bags in or give you a 25 kg. But someone looked at that, an element of solving problem is to break those elements down, right? So in some cases, you are looking at even breaking down our services that come. If you are booking We are not serving you food, right? Or you are booking for food, you can book it way ahead. If you don't book for food way ahead, if you come into the hotel, it's 10% more. So those are the different options we've looked at. So for here, we are focusing on these 6 options, and we try to rank them so that it allows us to focus on our impact. So this is a 2x2 matrix. It's definitely applied across industry for prioritization. And today we are looking at it based on ease of implementation and the financial impact. Ease of implementation means that how quickly can I implement this, right? Who are the stakeholders I need to get through to implement this? What barriers do I have to implement this? So I look at a company, say a manufacturing company, right? And you want to downsize as a basis for reducing your costs. Let me just go outside the box. You have union to negotiate. You probably have union within the company. You have union external to the company. You have payoffs to do. So there are quite a number of things you need to understand when you are looking at your ease of implementation. Who are the stakeholders you need to engage? The person who employed you or called you or hired you to do this problem-solving activity, what's the interest, right? And you don't discount that because, for instance, the MDCU has called you. They are not necessarily oblivious of solving a problem or whatever destination they want to arrive at. Like she said, and I think you must have heard our special guest of honor mentioned earlier. In some cases, you have those thoughts around your head around what the direction to be, but you want elements of validation. You want data sets. You want people to go into the details of it and to be able to show you actual value, what the projection will be, taking into consideration the elements around. So COVID wasn't there. COVID came in and impacted various industries. That was much more. So if you had had strategies before COVID on your growth rate, you probably need people to help you look at it and look at the elements of COVID. How does it impact your industry? How would that change your planning going into the future? How does that change the organization of your workplace, right? If there are policies, for instance, in the oil and gas industry that looks at the Nigerian content laws and how you can't deal with equipment manufacturers globally just directly, and they need to have local representatives. So how do you make that into your... So you look at the ease of implementation, your stakeholders across board, whether they are low or high. And in the financial impact, you're able to do back of the hand calculation to say, what value do I get from this? Across board, we try to rank these different 6 options from low ease of implementation to low financial impact, to high ease of implementation and high financial impact, right? So, and we focused on upselling, right? To say it's very easy, and that's what I mean. It's very easy to implement, right? And the value we think we'll get from this is also very, very good. This is backed by data, right? And I think maybe I also like to mention here, problem solving, whether as a consultant or as you within the industry, is not all about subject matter expertise. It's about understanding what do I need or what am I solving for? What data sets do I need? Who are the people who have this data or information? And how do I get it to make valuable insights and decisions? Understanding that process allows you to be broad in approaching problems. Organizations will typically promote someone who can solve problems and have divergent opinions and can sit around tables where they are comfortable with the situation or not, but approach it with an open mindset than people who are stereotyped around functional lines or their problem-solving expertise or their functional expertise, because that limits your ability to look at things from a broad perspective of bringing resources together to achieve a common goal. Okay, so I'll go next to looking at, after prioritization like this, how do we validate what we've prioritized? How do we go now into the details of the elements that allows us to validate and look at more data, right? So I'm looking at using myself as an example that I come into an organization, I'm external to that organization. How do I get data? All right. I've looked at these broad thoughts of mine. Some may be wild imaginations. They may not be backed by data, but I want to go now into getting valuable data that allows me, when I come before the leadership team or I come before the C-suite executives, I'm able to present them with, yes, this is my idea. This is what I think you should do. but this is the valuable information that presents that, whether it's historical data or futuristic data. Okay, so in this case, you look at what we call a QADS, right? You're asking yourself a question: by how much can we increase revenue by upselling rooms at check-in? And which is one of the options we've tried to prioritize as easy to implement and high financial value, right? Note that our prioritization at that point is back of the hand. So we want to look at those top 6 we prioritize, or at least 2 in the top right, which is high financial impact, that allows us to arrive at our destination. So we tell ourselves, what analysis do we want to do? So we want to look at, so I've told myself, I want to determine the number of hotels. I want to know the average number of customers and people that are requesting upgrades, right, when they come into the hotel. Somehow they must have been capturing this data in the past. And if it hasn't been captured, I would also show measures or ways for you to get information that typically maybe are not direct or have not been captured. Okay? So I told myself that here, I also want to determine the average payment per upgrade or per upsell, if you call it like that. So I go back into narrowing down what data sets do I have or do I need. So if I'm going to the leadership team of a company, or I'm going to the people in the finance department, or people in the supply chain department, or people in the front desk, I'm very clear on what information I need. I need to know, and I can get some of these things also from the annual reports of the company. How many hotels do we have? How many customers do we have in our database? How many people are requesting for upgrade? What's the amount to charge per upgrade? So when you have this form of structured approach to looking for data across board, you do this for all your different elements that you want to prioritize. When you go to the persons or go to the different teams to get that information, you are quite structured in what you want to get from them. And they're also very clear in what they're able to provide for you, right? One of the other things you can do is, now you have thoughts of data you want to get. In some cases, you want to send it across to someone to say, please give me this information, right? And the information may not be structured enough. So in some cases, you can decide to say, let me create a ghost chart for you. Please just fill in this table with this information, right? In some cases, you create a graph or a chart and you say, oh, provide me this information in this format. That allows the person to understand your thought process and what you want to use the information for. In some cases, that allows the person to also see how they can help you and give you valuable information that allows you to make effective decisions. Okay? So where do we go from here? I added this slide just to give us some bit of perspective. Not every information is written down in black or blue. Not every information is captured directly in the data sets of a company. Not every information is managed or is available on the desktop or laptop of someone. There are some level or some methods for you to get information that are not directly captured in those formal means, right? So you get to someone to say, oh, I need this information, and he says, I don't know. It's quite sincere that he doesn't know precisely that information. So in some level, you need to probably explain to that person, oh, it doesn't have to be 100% precise. So just give me an idea. So the way you come to someone to say, how much is a bag of rice in the market? And it's not clear whether he didn't buy it last week, but I can tell you, I bought it. Well, I think the last time I bought was about 45,000, right? How long ago was that? That was about 3 months ago. Okay, so if you are quite conversant with inflation rates within Nigeria, you can say, okay, I marked that out by 20%, or I marked that out by 10% to make my decisions. So you can share precision levels, and that allows the person to give you informed information. In some cases, the person doesn't know, right? But you can give them options. Oh, so how big is that container? Is it this big, or how big is the budget? Is it in hundreds of millions of dollars, or how much do you think you are spending there? Is it in $10,000s of dollars? Giving those options allow people to also, giving those choices allow people to also give you some form of informal or unstructured information that can still allow you make those effective decisions. One other tool you can use here is to compare the known to the unknown, or compare the unknown to the known. So how well did we do in terms of sales last year, right? The person is not quite clear, or maybe that information is not available directly at that point. But you are doing sales this year. Maybe the person just joined the team. Oh, So comparatively, do you think we are doing better this year or in Q1 this year than last year, right? Or what percentage growth did we have? It doesn't know percentage growth, but comparatively, Q1 this year and Q1 last year, which one is doing better? That allows you to have an informed decision, right? And here you also want to employ your ability to do back of end calculations, right? Don't wait for everything to be directly placed in front of you. You want to look at industry trends. You want to look at reports. You want to look at market analysis to make those informed decisions, right? So you want to do all that and be sure that you are whatever information you are gathering or you are getting is allowing you to make those informed decisions. Okay, so we'll go straight into applying some of these things. So where we had the conversation, so for instance, we have gone to have conversations with the account department. We've gone to have conversations with the sales team. What were we able to gather? So we gathered that Sheraton they are inconsistently priced compared to their neighboring competitors. That means that if they continue to increase price, they will probably lose market share. So that allows us to make some informed decisions, right? There's some decentralized pricing process. If you go into upselling of room, or what you call upgrade at check-in, we've also seen that for every upgrade that have been given by the front desk, and this is from data, right? 80% have been unpaid. So people come in, you see that, oh, the room they booked is not available, and you give them the next bigger room, right? In 80% of those cases, the front desk people have just been very caring, providing customer service, and they've not charged for it. So 80% of that is unpaid. We also looked at it that 2 upsell pilots were done last year. So the company had done this in the past, and this is one of the data we also got across one of their locations, right? And this resulted into 35% of customers that they offered, right, actually took the upgrade and they paid for it. So customers paid for it, and that gives us also some kind of understanding to say, okay, if I have 800 customers that we push it to in our pilot, 35% of them are paid for upgrade. We've offered them better options at check-in, and they paid for it. Okay, we look at our capturing of more cancellation fees, right? We said currently capturing less than 30% of potential cancellation fees, right? So we look at all these different data from our conversations with the different departments, and we've been able to gather valuable information. Some would gather in Excel files, some would gather with just going by looking at, maybe the company uses Power BI, looking at their data sets. You've been able to look at their analysis and their trends and make valuable decisions, right? So when you get your data set, you are now looking at what do you do next with this data. Data is not insight. Knowledge is not insight. But I think it's good to understand that. And that's where synthesizing comes in. What does it mean to synthesize? I share this code that talks about the difference between knowledge and wisdom. I know tomato is a fruit. If you Google tomato, it will tell you it's a fruit. But you won't like it in fruit salad, right? Maybe some people will like it, maybe people from my tribe, but you won't like it in fruit salad. So understanding where the fruit limit is, right, is you turning your knowledge into useful wisdom and valuable insights. And I hope this is well communicated to my audience today, that elements of knowledge, oh, so my phone is so this thing, does not mean I'm able to make valuable insight from it. Not everybody who owns a phone is making money from that phone. Some people own a phone typically because they are doing online marketing. They are doing some form of businesses. So understand that you having something does not mean you're able to make the best of that, right? So synthesizing allows us to make the best of the information we get. What information do we have? How do we turn those information, bring them, look at the synergies between the data sets and make insightful decisions from them, right? How do we transform them into insight? So in case of Sheraton Hotel, we looked at the upgrade. We said that there are upgrades across 8 pilot properties that we looked at, and people were not paying. About 80% of them were unpaid. We said premium rooms were consistently housed more. Premium rooms consistently house more customers than reservations with upgrade at check-in. So typically, people were upgrading at check-in, right? But they were not being charged for it. We said 2% attributes were predicting customer willingness to pay for an upgrade, right? So we looked at based on customer type. So we divided our customer base into band 1 to 5. Couple of customers within the band 1, right? They were premium customers. They wouldn't feel that paying for an upgrade was good for them, right? So for those customers, maybe we wouldn't sell an upgrade to them because they are probably utilizing more. They are probably are more of what you call our frequent customers. We don't want to sell an upgrade to them. But in some cases, some other customer categories, they are probably coming once in a while. Maybe they are travelers coming from one country to the other. They're able to pay for an upgrade, right? There's also the day of the week. Maybe on Fridays, people are using hotel accommodations a lot more, right? And that allows you to sell more upgrades to them because there's more demand just on Fridays, right? So those are the things we are looking at. Does our customer type impact on our ability to sell upgrades? Does the day of the week impact on it? What data set supports these assumptions and things we'll be able to validate? So we said 36% of band 1 customers offered upgrades during the pilot that was done in one location for 6 months. 30% of them took the upgrade, right? If we look at that across the revenue buckets, we said there's an opportunity to increase total revenue, right? If we sell upgrades, so if you say 100% of people who are coming and needed an upgrade, if we sell upgrades to them, we'll get $4.7 million over a 3-year period. But if we lose our realistic estimate from our data to say just about 36% of these persons really accept the upgrade, then that's about $1.6 million. Like I said, this is data. But what does that data tell me? How do I synthesize that data? Maybe one more thing I need to share here, just going outside the slides, is that if I'm a Adebayo working in company A, the data set I'm able to get to solve the problem of that company A may just be limited. I have colleagues, I have friends, I have people who have industrial experience across various industries, right? That I can consult to validate my data, that I can consult to make comparative information, right? And that fuels my insight, that changes or enriches my insight. So for anybody who wants to consult, right? And for consulting companies, for instance, the differentiating value is not just the data bank they have, but how they are able to utilize specialist knowledge, how they're able to utilize a diverse view of persons and resources globally, right? So understand that your connection with someone in another school can allow you to validate what they are charging for school fees. Your connection with someone in another school can allow you to validate whether you want to introduce this new course around problem solving for industrial engineering undergraduates, for instance, or what schools have they implemented it before? What problems? What's the percentage of students that are leaving school and going into problem solving related fields or consulting fields? So feel free to consult wide and make valuable decisions and also arrive at good insights. So we said from these data sets that we have, what insights are we getting? We said, okay, implementing upselling and upgrades at both point of sale and check-in processes would be valuable for this company. But we also said that we need to target the upselling, right? So that we don't focus it across all our customers. There are some premium customers that we should leave out. They probably will not buy upsells, right? Or upgrades, if you put it like that. I will probably will lose their loyalty. So we also can focus on bands of customers. So we said non-band 1 customers, right? And we said typically, with upsell or upgrades at check-in, we would get the desired revenue. So we are going back to the leadership team to say, please implement targeted upselling at check-in. We are very specific for all non-band 1 customers because we feel that our band 1 customers will not be able to get the best value or will not get best value for this. And you would arrive at a revenue increase of about $1.6 million over the next 3 years. What was our target? $100 million annually. If you multiply that by 3 years, that's about $300 million, right? They will say $100,000 annually, right? If you multiply by that 3 years, that's about $300 million. That is significant value increase, right? So when you are going, the company or the organization you are consulting or within your organization, it's quite clear, I need to take steps A, B, and C. This is what I will get in the next year. This is the value I would also get. And these are the people I need to also engage probably to get those things done. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Lastly is communication. you can do all the effort, you can spend all the time, you can get valuable insights from your data, but if you don't communicate it clearly, the decision makers can't make the decision, right? The people won't buy it. What do you go sit down before a Cadbury MD to say, oh, I want you to diversify this brand, or I want you to let this brand go without valuable data or without a compelling case, right? So when you are going before critical stakeholders, you want to make a compelling case. You want to be sure that whatever you are presenting meets the defined objective, is well structured, is a clear format, and even your presentation, your gesture, your non-verbals shows the confidence behind what you are projecting, right? Understanding your audience is also very important. So I give you, for instance, where I go before an audience of senior leaders and MDs, and I spend the whole day sharing a 28-page slide of the whole work we've done. We've analyzed point A, we've analyzed point B, and I get them bored. Whereas I can go back and create the excitement just by going into the room to say, oh, you've asked us for $100 million. You've asked us for, well, let's say $100,000, right? Or $100 million if you look at the case. But, oh, no, we've come back through our analysis. We think we can get 1.6 billion. That's a significant increase in what you're expecting. They are quite excited to hear you. Then you go structured. What are you proposing, right? From there, you go into what are the key points for what you are proposing? What's supporting it? How do they validate that? They also, and I think that's one distinctive factor that I've seen about thought leaders and business leaders globally. Don't play with them with numbers. I put it like that. So business leaders, they have what you call, and I look at it around being able to spot the error. They understand based on experience what point A should give you when you get to point B. They understand high level what means to have a consistent flow. They understand what possibly, if you say, oh, you would get 20% market share. They've been in the industry. They understand what it means to gain 20% market share. They know the competitors. So you really need to back it up with structured information, clear and concise, and something that means value to them. Okay, so how do you present it? We said, and which is the recommendation now. Focus on the situation. You're able to highlight that this is the situation. Give your recommendation before you go into the major points. The flow is very important. This is what you've asked us to do. This is what we have come up with. And these are the major points supporting it. 1 million slides does not provide a compelling case. A compelling case is value added. From the get-go, you come into the room, you put up a good smile, you are quite clear and confident in what you've come up with. You make the recommendation and you put the supporting points behind it. So let's do an example here. So say the current situation is that, oh, for my special guest today, your revenue has been flat over the last 5 years. Your competitors are growing. Our recommendation is that you implement upsell checking for all non-band 1 customers and you get $1.4 million revenue increase over the next 3 years. Why do we think so? 80% of your check upgrades are checking are unpaid today. That means you are getting value for just 20%. You've done a pilot last year, right? And you got significant value across those 6 locations. We are projecting that across your top 8 locations, you would get significant increase from about 551 million in the biggest location to even 1.162 million in the 4th location to arrive at a total cumulative value of about $1.43 million over the next 3 years. This is significant value. We are sure you will get it because your data supports that. That's a compelling case, right? Compelling case is what creates the value. If the leadership now needs the whole data, they need to validate those data sets. You can now provide the whole work you've done. But I think it's also important here that as I conclude, problem solving is an art. It's not more of a science. It's about you understanding your critical stakeholders. It's about you understanding their needs and wants. It's about you understanding clearly what you are solving. Who are your stakeholders? What are the elements that typically would impact on decision making? Like, for instance, you are coming to a business leader post-COVID or just before going into COVID, and in your analysis, you've not shared what impact COVID would make on that decision. Then you would have flawed those analyses. So be careful to say, make a compelling case, be careful to understand what interests your key stakeholders and the people who have hired you, right? And be able to make a compelling case to address that. Okay, so that's it on the presentation. I would go just to add some key elements that I think is important for anybody, and this is for all professionals, and it's around visuals. I will share this with the chat, but understand that visuals matters a lot. There are different visuals for different things. Whether you want to look at the relationship of data sets, you want to look at distribution, you want to look at composition, what composes the 100%, or you want to look at comparison. Selecting the right chart or the right data set or the right chart or graphics to use matters a lot, so that you don't confuse the audience or the people you are presenting to, but they're able to interpret the data just by looking at it. Okay. And the last one is a list of resources that typically can work if you consider maybe a problem-solving career, or you even want to solve problem in your current organization or in business. Case in point is very important. It looks at case studies and different types of case questions and allows you to structure your thoughts, right? Say it with charts, and I try to show that. It allows you to select the right charts for different applications. Pyramid principles for structuring, that's very important. Dissecting rational and emotional components in a trust equation. And this is looking at how do you break down things? How do you break down things? And across every industry or across every line, prioritization is key, and that's the power of a 2x2 matrix. Whether you're looking at your task prioritization on a daily basis to say what's urgent and important, or whether you're looking at your budget, right? Whether you're looking at your spend, whatsoever, prioritization is a key element. So power of a 2x2 matrix is also important. So thank you. That's my short presentation. I hope I've been able to create valuable insights for you today. And I hope that you can pick this, not just looking at the structure in the case of applying it to Sheraton, but you can look at it in these 5 key principles, right? Just before I go, I'll just go back to the beginning and conclude with that. You can look at it in these 5 key principles. For every problem you want to solve, define the problem. Defining the problem allows you to understand critically who your stakeholders are. What are you solving for? Structure the problem. Here, use every tool you want to use to brainstorm. Bring people around you. Consider the 6+1 thinking as people of diverse views, right? To make your problem well structured. Conduct your analysis. Data sets not necessarily available somewhere does not mean you can't make valuable decisions. Do back of end calculations. Give people comparisons. Allow them to give you suggestions, right? Synthesize. Turn your data sets into insights and effectively communicate how to solve or whatever value you get. So I'll close by that. Thank you very much. And I hope I've been able to create valuable insight for you tonight. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you, Engineer Authority. You had indeed created the valuable insights, and you have spoken well. You deserve clapping, and I can see somebody clapping already. Well done. Well, I was about to say I want to summarize, but indeed you have returned to that, and that's the 5 key things in solving problem. The problem will be well defined, structure the problem, conduct analysis, systematize, and then do a good communication. Let me hand over to our chairman, the chairperson, to make her remarks. Yes, ma'am.
Amazing. I was just thinking to myself, this is what we pay a fortune to consultants to do, but really amazing. A lot of comments coming on the chat box asking for this presentation. I'm sure that you share with the participants, probably with the caveat you may want to sort of like abridge it, because if I lay my hands on this, a few management consultants will lose their business, because I'll sit down, dissect this, and use it to do a lot of work. But there's a lot of material there that is invaluable, and the listeners here must really take advantage of this. I like something you've done there, though. I noticed that all your examples are in dollars. Hey, so again, interesting there. What's that telling us? You got to work with a currency that's stable. Otherwise, you're quoting things that you cannot unfortunately stand by, with a currency that's not stable. So, that for me, that was another key interest. Obviously working for a multinational, we think in dollars, but having said that, when you operate in Nigeria, you're selling everything you're selling in Naira. You also have to remember that there's a local currency to work with. But a lot of great nuggets there that I hope our participants are taking away from. That would be my comment. Thank you so much. I was going to say, because the way you were presenting, I was going to rename you Dr. Otokiti, but I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. But you sound like some, PhD doctor that has done a lot of research. And, I think on behalf of my own personal university, I'm going to give you that chair, that doctorate chair, because this is fantastic. Well done. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma. For that remarks. I think it's allowed. We can begin to call you Dr. Tokiti. Yes, Ma. Courtesy of our chairperson for today, and looking at your company where you work and your experience over the years, I think we'll be qualified to declare somebody in that position. Okay, thank you, Ma. Tonight, I think some people will have questions. They also want to have some remarks. I want to recognize some people I can see on the platform. I can see Professor Akintayo from the Faculty of Law. You are welcome, sir. I want to thank you for coming on board. I also want to recognize one of the Deputy University Librarian, Dr. Towo Yelude. You are welcome, ma. Thank you for gracing this occasion. Some of our senior colleagues in the department that are there, Professor Olule, you are welcome, sir. And I can also see one of our professors who retired recently, but who is not tired, Professor Akobi. You are welcome, sir. It's a long time we see you here. We are glad to have you. We will give room for people to make their question while we wait for some people who also want to make some good week remarks. Please, you have your question. Some questions are already on the chat. I think our speaker can see that. People are saying we should want to make requests that this program be, we always share it, and it's always live stream on our various social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and others. You have a question, you may simplify. We give room for some people to ask questions. Baba team, you want to make one, you can raise up your hands. Let's see you so that I can allow you. Anyone who want to do that? Question?
There's a hand up, Falabi. I don't know if you want to take that person.
Okay.
Yes, I want to do that.
Sir. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much to our able host and the presenter. Engineer Tokiti, I'm sure you've seen my picture. I'm sure you know me very well. I'm seeing you once again. It's been a long time. I'm so proud of you that you are able to deliver this awesome lecture today. You really did very well. I clap for you. So that's why clapping for you. Please, I will say that you should not relent. The sky is your limit. You have to continue to move faster. I have two items to talk about. First, problem solving, which is one of the things you first of all said immediately in the moment. That is problem solving. I am looking at problem solving as a key point to industrial engineers. And the young ones should take it very, very seriously. The second one is on SMART. It is a very, very good tool. If industrial engineers can make use of SMART everywhere they go to. I thank everyone. I thank you for giving me this opportunity. That is what I have so far.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other person, please? Dr. Edem? Dr. Edem, am I seeing your hand?
Yes, my hand is up. Thank you so much.
Okay, please go ahead. Go ahead.
I really enjoyed your a lot of things
It appears you're not very audible.
Okay, so am I being heard now?
Yes, better.
Right? Okay. So my question is, I mean, in your experience with what you do now with respect to analyzing systems and being able to give reports and results, I think one of the issues that we have in this country, for me, I think it's implementing policies that probably have been wrongly, generated or developed, or probably people sat down and just decided to go with a policy that at the end of it doesn't really, work or doesn't really make the system better. So I just want to find out, have there been scenarios where probably there's been a problem statement being made regarding a direction or a policy that, they are looking at what's making or adding value. And then at some point during your, analysis, research, you probably found out that this particular approach that this organization is planning to undertake will actually not work in the long run. Probably may have some short-term benefits, but in the long run doesn't, it's not going to be beneficial. And probably any new discoveries along the line that may be like an addition. While you are doing your research, you find out that, the company is planning to toe this line. However, if you decide to toe this other line or consider the other factor, you stand to benefit more. So I basically, there probably will be a deviation in the policy even as you set out to carry out that investigation. So I just want to find out if those kind of scenarios occur and how can that be dealt with, or how does organizations accept, those kinds of recommendations if you have made them and when you make those recommendations to them. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can respond to that.
Yes. Okay. So let me take that. So I think one of the key things you need to understand around solving a problem and getting valuable insights is first around defining. We try to look at constraints and scope. And maybe one of the things you also need to take into consideration is that there are bases for those decisions. So when you present your data set or you present your recommendation to the management, you need to show them basis for those assumptions. So let me give you, for instance, you made your projections based on dollar rates at about 490 naira, for instance, to a dollar, just before the new administration came in, right? And somehow you are still on that project and the new administration has come in and they brought in a new policy of floating the currency. That immediately changes the dynamics, right? So you need to put that on the table to say, if the currency remains this rate, we're able to achieve these projections, right? So that's clear. If you don't put that on the table, the entire projection is faulted. One of the things you can also look at, right, is around government policies. So government policies have a significant impact on whatsoever analysis or decisions you've made. So put that into consideration and be able to share a basis for those assumptions, right? We are making this business decision because of this, right? Organizations typically would not make a decision that would last into the future. Decisions are dynamic. And that's one of the things when you come into the Nigerian society and you talk about, we are making policies that are not effective. No, it may just be that the stakeholders or the environment is very dynamic, that we need to revisit those policies or decisions as quickly as or more often to arrive at the goal. In the context of problem solving, make sure that at the point where you are defining or at the point where you are making the presentation of your final recommendation, you are quite clear on factors that can change and change your total assumptions, and you make that very clear. And that's where you talk about sensitivity analysis, where you are looking at what's the impact of this factor and how does it majorly change the dynamics. I mean, COVID changed the dynamics for major businesses across the globe, right? That's one thing that if you are doing a project pre-COVID would be different when you do it post-COVID. And I hope that clarifies.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Okay. I think we can take some good messages now. I can see Professor Otegbayo, the CMD, Chief Medical Director, University College Hospital. I think he's representing our Professor Emeritus Professor Falashe, the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan. Sir, we would like to listen to you, sir, Professor Otegbayo.
Okay. Good
Welcome,
evening.
sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I got an invitation from you actually to represent Professor Falashe. I've been trying to reach out to him to know. However, he asks me usually to do something like this from time to time, and I'm glad to be with you. I'm sorry I joined a bit late. I had some other engagements in the office that didn't permit me to join at the right time. I didn't forget at all. So I want to really appreciate what you are doing in developing skills and capacity in our people to be able to go to the roots of problems and solve them rather than the symptoms. Solving the symptoms, so to speak, is just to scratch it on the surface. But when you get to the root of it, then you are likely to be able to resolve those problems. So acquiring skills like that are not just great for leadership, but also for our individual lives. In our individual lives, we require these skills to be able to navigate the nuances and the labyrinths of survival in an economy like our own. So I want to congratulate you in bringing up this kind of ideas and skilling up our people. And I wish you a very, very nice deliberations. I'm not sure if you are towards the end because I'm hearing question and answers. By the way.
Yes, sir, we are getting towards the end.
Okay. So thank you very much for inviting my mentor and teacher, Professor Ayodele Falashe, FAS, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, former Provost College of Medicine, and former Dean, Faculty of Clinical Sciences, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for still making it in spite of your tight schedule. We do recognize that, sir. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Some of our senior colleagues, I want to call Professor Lule, sir. You have any remark? Professor Akambi, you are there too. You also want to hear from you briefly. Professor Lule, sir.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and thank you to our chairperson and the special guest of honor. I'm kind of astounded, although not surprised, by what Engineer Otokiti has presented today. Very in-depth, practical. You can see how complex problems can be solved by using simple steps, but which are logical, interspersed, and interrelated. And I think the good part of it for me is to know that our problems are not unsurmountable. If we apply the skills properly, we'll get to the end. But my fear is that once confronted by these problems, there are, what I'll call the mob on the social media who are not patient enough to let the music flow, if I want to say so. So I would like to thank him. Thank you for making it simple, keeping it simple. I said I'm not surprised because you've always been top there And so we thank God that you've grown into an oak, and we can only pray that you will continue to go upwards. So to everybody, and particularly those who are still in school, this is a chance to learn from the feet of those who started just like you, but who are now in the field and who have gathered their loins to make a difference. So it's a pleasure to join everybody here. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of us. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir, for your ever support and ever wonderful remarks. You are welcome, sir. Professor Akambi, sir, we'd like to hear from you.
It's a very wonderful lecture, and I really feel very proud that the department has produced people who are really making waves, and the way the lecture has been presented make it very relevant for virtually everybody in the audience, whether you are in medicine, engineering, or in other fields. And I think that is important. The use of graphs and charts make a lot of difference. So I want to say, well done, Engineer Otto Kiti. And I also want to advise our young ones to study all these things since they are available. And even those of us who are on the field, we need to learn a lot from this kind of presentation. I want to say thank you again, and God bless you all.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Our retired professor was not tired. You are welcome, sir. We're always glad to hear from you. Thank you. There's no other question. We begin to round off now. We begin to round off now. Well, as a side comment, we want to thank our chairman, our chairperson today. Maybe on a lighter mood, I belong to an alumni group where you need to be a member of that group if your spouse is a member. So your spouse is a member, automatically you are a member. So our chairperson today, I think he has conferred the doctorate on our speaker. We also want to confer on her to be inducted to the Alumni of Industrial and Production Engineering Association, because her husband is an eminent member of that group. I hope we all agree with that. I hope it's approved. Yes, ma'am. We would like you to join our alumni group. We inducted you because your husband is one of our eminent member. I hope it's approved. Thank you. Very soon we'll be having
All right. We want to move on to, I think, our moderator network issues. We want to call on our engineer to give his closing remarks as we begin to round up.
Okay, thank you. So a few comments from me. Thank you very much for the comments and questions. Well, very much appreciated. So I've dropped the PDF document of the slides in the chat. And I also like to mention to
my system was interrupted.
Okay. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. I said I've dropped the PDF document on the chat, so anybody who wants to pick that up can do that. Just another comment is that coincidentally, for now she's Dr. Oyeyimika Adeboye. I also did, I think, a 3 months sideways in Cadbury, and that's the facility in Agidimbi. I worked at the sugar, I think the sugar plant and the Bonfita plant way back then. That was in 2009. And one of the things that I had to change when I was there, just within that short stint, was that we used to they were using oven technology more often then. They used to spread the magma, where we call it then, on the trays and move them with pallet trucks from where you have the spreaders to the oven point. But something changed then. We needed to change that from just moving them on pallet trucks where they could just get turned over along the way to putting them in racks. And that allowed you to go directly to the oven technology. And I think Cadbury would have also changed completely from the oven technology today to the Bandra technology, because they had like 2 of them there during the pilot phase area. So just to say that, and thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you for pioneering the kind of leadership we want in Nigeria. It's really a tough market. And that for me is one of the major things or major reasons for me to be able to share on problem solving, particularly for businesses that need to look beyond today's challenges and be able to surmount those challenges to achieve and create a thriving economy for Nigeria. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for the department for creating this opportunity for me to share. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you. I'm sure with the permission of the head of department, HOD, please want to make a comment, Professor head of departments. Can we hear from you, sir? Professor Ladokun, want to hear a word from you?
Yeah. Well, I want to thank our special guest. I want to thank Baba Falashe for accepting to be our special guest. And when he told me that he may not be available because of his commitment to he's the organist of his church, I said, well, that Baba, we just want your name on our flyers, that you can ask any of your professor mentees to rep you. And he said that the CMD of UCH will rep me. So I said, wow. Me that I've been trying to get across to the CMD himself to ask him to come and be guest. And so I want to thank Baba Falashi. I want to thank the CMD. I want to thank Mr. Adeboye, our former chair. When he was the chair, I asked him that Mommy is coming to share one of our events, and he delivered tonight. So I want to thank you for bringing the CEO of Cadbury. One of the things that this platform is doing for us is that it's giving us a lot of goodwill and social capital. We are able to reach into so many areas. So I want to thank all of us. We are extremely grateful. I also want to thank our lecturer. He's been generous to us. Maybe he doesn't want to announce it, but he's changed the face of our department today. He gave us a very generous donation, which he sent the money yesterday, and I will not announce the amount, but if you come to our office now, the floor, the furniture is we just went out yesterday and painted the entire town red, brought in a massive furniture to the department. So, Engineer Otokiti, we are extremely grateful for your generosity. God will continue to bless you. And so, well, I will leave the other. Yes, this is what we brought in today. You can see we are set for a current accreditation. We are set for current accreditation. No, our alumni are doing great. They are very generous. Last year during COVID, during the long strike, one of our alumni reached out to Professor Oluleye, and he sent in ₦1 million to the lecturers that he knows they have seen our salaries. Another group reached out to us, and they just brought in truckload of food for us. These are wonderful people, and so we are so proud of all of you, and then God will continue to lift you up. And yesterday or 3 days ago, one of our alumni guest lecturer just reached out to us, sent me a letter to the management of my company. I want them to do a CSR for us, and all the stationery we will need maybe for the next 3 years, the company is giving us, as part of. So these are wonderful people. We are proud of all of you. The investment of Professor Oluleye, Professor Waba, Professor Akabi, Professor Loriniwo, our founder, Professor Sifo, on all of you is actually showing. And that's why we can reach out to you, and we are so proud of all of you. And so God bless you all. I want to thank all our guests. Professor Omobo is in the house, but he's tired. He just came in from Ekiti, and he's in the house, but he just want to observe. So we are extremely grateful for all of you for what you are doing. We are proud of you. Next month is going to be powerful. Another alumni is coming, and that next month we are dedicating it to the female graduates, and one of our most, they will announce that later. So thank you all for listening. Engineer Opadari will continue with the appreciation.
Yes. Engineer Opadari, can we hear from you, please? For the vote of thanks.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me start by standing on the existing protocol, but I need to do this to really appreciate our guest lecturer tonight for a well-delivered lecture. Once again, you have proven that you are a product of the first and the best university, and we are so proud of our alumni. I want to start by appreciating our chairperson, the MD of Cadbury, the MD CEO of Cadbury, Mrs. Oyeyimika Adeboye, for gracing this occasion with your time. You've always attended many of our lectures in time past, and we thank you for what you are doing, not only just for attending this lecture, or what also your organization is doing for our students in taking them for industrial training and the likes. I want to appreciate our special guest of honor, Emeritus Professor Ayodele Falashe, ably represented by Professor Otegbayo, CMD, University College Hospital. Thank you for gracing this occasion again. To our guest of honor, Professor Mobawale, thank you for being in the meeting. Prof just said you are in the meet call, even though you just came in from a long journey. We want to thank you once again. Our moderator tonight, Dr. Kolawole, thank you for a good moderation, and at least taking us also down memory lane at the beginning. All our fathers and lecturers in the house, we want to appreciate you for your selfless sacrifice. And I'm sure your heart is also gladdened as you are seeing, your products come back to the stage to showcase the things you have impacted in them, and your labors will not go in vain, and it will be duly rewarded in Jesus' name. Our host tonight, Professor Victor Oladokun, thank you for your tenacity in making sure that we continue on this trajectory. Thank you so much. God bless you. To the IPA family, We say thank you for being here all the time. When you see our notices, you join the lectures, and we believe these lectures are beneficial to you. And I think from my own judgment, we've been taking the lectures up a notch higher. The last one was interesting, finding your entrepreneurial identity. This is also well loaded and well packaged lecture. To our friends and within the University of Ibadan community, we want to say thank you for always joining our lecture series and for also being in attendance. And to our friends in the industry, once again, we say thank you also for joining us tonight. And to all our past chairmen that are in the house tonight, I can see Engineer Adeboye also in the house, and a couple of others that in the house tonight. Thank you all for always promoting this lecture series. We hope to see you at the 18th edition next month, and it's going to be another powerful one. Thank you once again, and do have a lovely night rest and a lovely weekend. God bless you all.
Amen. Thank you, Engineer Okpadari, for that beautiful presentation. As have been announced, the next one will be coming up in the month of, and the title for that lecture is Thriving in a Harsh Economy. Thriving in a Harsh Economy, Tips from an Engineer turned Banker. So I'm sure you want to hear the harsh economy, you want to try how to thrive in this current Nigerian economy system, and it is from an Engineer turned Banker. I'm going to be delivered by one of our now to Morolake Omotosho. She belongs to the 2009 graduating set. She's a banker. She's a branch manager of one of the Access Bank branches. So you'll be hearing from an engineer turned banker. How does it happen? Of the charter, this of banker. So I'm sure it's going to be another interesting and impressive one. So we look to that and we pray that God's all of us to witness it when it comes the month of March. On this note, I want to say thank you once again to everyone. Lecturer, everyone. I want to say thank you for going this far. God bless you. As you go to rest or continue to thank you. Have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
Thank you.